In this episode of The Frieze, the Yankees head back to their house of horrors in Baltimore, but why this time should be different. Plus, we'll check in on the farm, see who's tearing it up in the minor leagues, and I'll talk trades with the 4 trained savages. All that and more next. I'm Derek, and this is The Frieze.
Good afternoon. How do y'all like that?
Swing and a miss on 2-2. Swing and a miss.
All right, we have just ticked past the 20% mark of the season, actually at about 21%, and the Yankees are looking pretty good, but you already know that. First in the American League in home runs. Last year, home runs was a problem earlier in the year, and it got a little bit better once the weather heated up. Can't even imagine what it's going to be like this year with the boppers we got going. Second in the American League in runs. First in on-base percentage, and combining that with the home runs means you're getting a lot more 2-run and 3-run shots. Saw the 2-run shot from Gallo yesterday to extend the lead. And the Yankees have been swiping more bags. They are 5th in stolen bases this year. Anthony Rizzo has 3 stolen bases. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has 4 stolen bases. Tim LaCastro on the IL has 4 stolen bases. And your team leader is Aaron Hicks, who has 5 stolen bases, 19 walks. Not doing much in terms of getting hits or hitting for power, just 2 extra base hits, 1 double, 1 home run, but a .358 on-base percentage. The team WAR leaders remain unchanged for the 3rd series in a row. Aaron Judge continues to tick up. He's at 1.7 WAR this season, having just a tremendous year. 12 home runs, 27 ribbies. After yesterday's game, he is at .296 with the batting average and still has that OPS over 1,000 at 1.001. And he always hits well in Baltimore. Be interesting to see how he does this week. And then you've got Nestor Cortes coming off of another brilliant outing yesterday. He's not only your pitching WAR leader, but he is the team WAR leader now at 1.8. He has got to be an early favorite to start the All-Star game or to win the Cy Young Award. Justin Verlander has bounced back really nicely this year for Houston. Yankees actually made him an offer. Imagine if you had Verlander in this rotation as well. But Nestor Cortes is looking like he has turned the corner for his career. He is definitely for real, ladies and gentlemen. On the year, 7 starts, 40 innings, just 23 hits allowed. That's a 0.850 whip. When you combine it with his excellent command, just 11 walks to go with 49 strikeouts, and he keeps the ball in the ballpark for the most part, just 3 home runs allowed. Nasty Nestor, just 27 years old. He's never thrown anywhere close to 200 innings, so I'm not sure how he's going to hold up, but right now it's really fun to watch. And I think he will hold up because I think the Yankees will keep a close eye on his analytics, his metrics, to see when he starts to get tired and give him some rest. And coming up, the Yankees have 4 games against the Orioles in Baltimore before coming home to play the White Sox for 3 more, and then the Orioles for 3 more, and then they head out to Tampa Bay. And that's going to be an interesting test. Tampa Bay continues to play well and rise in the standings. They're still 4.5 back of the Yankees, but they are playing very, very well, and they always give the Yankees trouble, especially in Tampa Bay. You want to know if the Yankees are for real? Keep a close eye on that series in Tampa. This episode is brought to you once again by our friends at Manscaped, who would like to remind you that summer is almost here, so you want to make sure those beach balls are ready and as smooth as Floridian sand. So head on over to manscaped.com and check out the Performance Package 4.0. It features the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker for your nose and ears, and also the most comfortable boxers you've ever worn in your life. And it even comes with the Shed travel bag. So once again, head on over to manscaped.com and use the code NYY Recaps. That's NYY Recaps, no spaces, for 20% off and free shipping on your order of the greatest male grooming package on earth by far. Don't take my word for it. Go to manscaped.com and use the code NYY Recaps. Your balls will thank you. All right, it's time for the farm report for May. We are halfway through the month, so I want to check in on the stats for these guys. Now that the weather has begun to warm up, we're getting light for a little bit longer into the evening. The offensive numbers should be starting to come up. We're seeing that Jason Dominguez is improving. He's got an 809 OPS this month. 2 home runs, 5 doubles in 45 at-bats. He's drawing more walks. Still striking out quite a bit, but he is younger by about 2 years than the average player in that league. And I try and think about, Dominguez is 19 years old. If he were an American athlete, he might be in his freshman year of college, and he's already at low A and playing pretty well this month. Anthony Volpe hitting just 116 in May. Not looking good for him so far this year. I've heard that he's hitting the ball hard and that he looks better lately, but the stats don't lie. 116 this month is not good. Same for Oswald Peraza, hitting just 238 in May. 4 doubles, 1 home run, 3 stolen bases. Trey Sweeney also really struggling since he came back from the injured list. OPS for the first-round draft pick is at a minuscule 547, hitting just 190 this month with 4 doubles. Estevan Florial, on the other hand, playing pretty well at AAA. We know what he can do defensively. He is very smooth out there. So if he starts hitting, look for him to get more opportunities. We saw him get called up earlier this year. He hit the ball hard a couple of times, hitting .333 in May with 4 doubles and 1 long ball. And Austin Wells, it's looking like he could be one of the first guys that gets promoted because he is just dominating high A so far, hitting .350 on the season with 4 home runs and a 1.147 OPS, becoming one of the best offensive catchers in the minor leagues. Of course, he's got that sweet left-handed swing. Don't know much about his defense. I haven't seen him personally play defense. We've heard some reports that he was not good, but we've also seen some lately that he is good and that his arm is healthy once again. So it's just worth keeping an eye on. I think he will be in Double-A before too long. All right, it's been a couple of days since we've done a Nostra Derek prediction. Not going to be doing a proper pregame show today. We've got an episode of the Frieze, obviously, so we'll do the pregame tomorrow. So tonight's prediction for Game 1 of the series versus the Orioles is that Giancarlo Stanton goes deep. Previously, we predicted a Garrett Cole win. That was a hit. And then a Monty win. That was a miss, thanks to the offense. The batting average on the season at .462. I'll take it. How's it going, everybody? We always end an episode of The Frieze with your voicemails, and that will not change. But first, I want you to watch this conversation that I had with the guys from the 4 Train Savages. They're a Yankees podcast. They're a big social media presence. And I wanted to have them on to talk a little bit about trades and just the general state of the team because I enjoy their content, and I thought you guys might too. But then stick around for the voicemails following this conversation. All right, you guys, the Savages, the 4 Train Savages, have one of the better Yankees social media accounts. I follow you on Instagram, so I want to give you kudos to that. It's not easy to create good Instagram content. You guys, it's hilarious. So kudos.
Appreciate it.
I wanted to bring you guys on because the Yankees, they look good. And despite our best efforts to complain, they're winning. They're playing fantastic. And that really opens up an opportunity for Brian Cashman. We saw in 2017 that he will go for it if he feels like the team can win. Tommy Kahnle that year, Frazier that year. I think that he may make some big moves at the deadline this year and just try and shore up any areas that could hold this team back. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Tyler. You got one guy on your list that you can go after if you're Brian Cashman for a day. Who's your guy?
If I had to pick one guy, now I'm not saying I think this will happen, but I've had some hard eyes for Brian Reynolds for a long time. We got a lot of ammo in the farm system. I'd put my chips in for Brian Reynolds. I mean, the dude is under control for a long time. He just signed another extension, a pretty team-friendly extension, buying 2 years of his free agency, or no, 2 years of his ARB, I believe. So I'd be going after that guy. The price is not going to be cheap. He started off with a pretty slow start this year. Well, I mean, one could argue if you kind of just look at his 2021 season, the dude was arguably a top 10 player in the league last year.
Yeah.
Pirates aren't contending anytime soon in my book, so that's who I'm going for.
The cost to get him will be astronomical, but
For sure.
I mean, I ask myself this question all the time. Is there any one prospect that would keep me from getting what I needed to be the World Series favorite? About the only guy I wouldn't trade is Anthony Volpe. Rob, who's your guy that you're looking at?
I've been a big critic, and so have a lot of Yankee fans, of Aaron Hicks. And I think the area that position-wise, other than pitching, because I think the pitching looks so good right now, I think to shore up a center field spot, a guy that is coming off a suspension that could be a cheaper option than a Brian Reynolds, Ramon Laureano in Oakland.
Ooh, that's a good point.
And he had the PED scandal. I don't think he's going to cost you as much as a Reynolds. I think that it could potentially be an opportunity for a Brian Cashman to say, you know, Hicks, you're not getting it done in this sense. We love the walks. We do like the walking. We were talking about this when we were recording before, but it's just, you need something else, a little more dynamic to a player to kind of get you over the hump when it comes to a World Series contender. And I think, like you said, Brian Cashman is definitely going to be looking at all options, because we see the team right now, and it looks like it's a time that we can really pounce and get someone. Shore up the bullpen if you can. If you need to find areas to plug holes, if there's guys that, you know, that we see that may be taking a step back. We were talking about Jonathan Loaiza's recent struggles, but we think that he will bounce back, and we're hoping that he will bounce back. But you can't, the old saying is you can't get enough pitching. I think the area that I would definitely want to shore up is the bullpen if I'm looking out for those deals. But to me and Tyler, like, this is the best pitching staff we've had in, you could argue, in a very, very long time, in our lifetime. It's putting up historic numbers, or for where it ranks right now, you can make the easy argument this is the best pitching staff in baseball, and for our franchise that we've had in a while. So yeah,
I was going to say, I've been thinking a lot about the great Yankees pitching staffs that I've been able to see in my lifetime. I've been watching since '87, roughly. And I got to say, this team kind of takes me back to about that 2001 team where you had prime Messina, and then you still had a very good Andy Pettitte. You still had Roger Clemens, who was tough that year. I think he won the Cy Young that year. It's every night somebody was giving you a quality start. And Duque was kind of our Nestor Cortez back then.
Love El Duque. Love him.
He was so much fun to watch, and watching Nestor Cortez just brings me back. Like this, you know, we forget because we get so intense about our sports, right? That it's entertainment, and it's cool to see somebody who's legit entertaining. And as much as I love Garrett Cole and how fierce he is, you know, it's a job. It's surgery. He's performing he's performing surgery out there with a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. But Nestor Cortez, he's just challenging people. You know, he's throwing strikes. He's not afraid. He's changing up his delivery, his arm angle, and he's smiling. He's having a fun time. You don't see him, you know, hiding in the dugout. He's on the field in batting practice, with starting pitchers don't do. So it's just been a ton of fun on this current roster. And Tyler, back to you on this one. Is there anybody that you think other teams are going to come after that the Yankees might be willing to move? Because I think of somebody like Josh Donaldson. You know, you got this log jam here where you got Donaldson's playing pretty well, LeMahieu's playing pretty well, Torres is playing pretty well. You know, people could be interested in Torres. I mean, he seems to have bounced back. If somebody had told you in January that Torres was going to bounce back and you could get something for him, a lot of people would have done it. So I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on who do you think other teams could ask for, and would the Yankees do it?
Yeah, so I think you made a good point with Glaber, because I think, you know, kind of off the top of my head, first two that come to mind that the Yankees would be willing to move would probably be Gallo. If all goes according to plan, the Yankees will be contending, not selling for the most part. But I think, you know, if Brian Cashman kind of if we get to a point where Glaber's really raking and he's taken over, not necessarily the league for a little bit, but say the team for a month or 6 weeks or so, and he has an opportunity to sell very high on Glaber, and maybe he thinks that DJ is either A, the second baseman moving forward, or B, he's sliding over to third when Donaldson's tenure's done in a year or two. So I think Glaber is probably that potential piece that could be moved. I really don't see it happening. Just because I think they still are so high on Glaber, being how good he was at such a young age, and he's still ridiculously young. I mean, we see dudes that are, really sprouting at their age 27, 28, 29 season. Glaber's not even there yet. So there's still way more to come. There's still a lot more, but the dude's going to be playing baseball for a long time.
Yeah. And I wouldn't think of it as selling, more as, Brian Cashman likes his roster flexibility. So they could be adding in one area. And, if you have an opportunity to make a giant upgrade, but you have to get the prospects to do it from somebody else by trading a piece off your current roster, that's the type of weird chess game he likes to play. We've seen that. Like, nobody would have anticipated a move of Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela going for Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, especially a day after Kiner-Falefa just got traded to the Twins. So it's just one of those things where Brian Cashman is always kind of doing the weird calculus that he does. And I just I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I just wanted to get, somebody else's opinion on it.
Yeah.
Rob, what do you think about the job that Aaron Boone is doing this year? It seems to me like he's making a lot of good moves.
Yeah, Tyler knows this. Listeners of our pod knows this.
That's my guy.
I have been a critic of him. Yeah, that's Tyler's guy. But there's no areas right now that you can complain about. I think the thing that comes to mind that was the last thing that I was a critical instance was allowing Garrett Cole, either if it was his decision to allow him to stay in, or if Garrett pushed him around and told him, I'm staying in this effing game. You're not taking me out. But that was like the last critical move you can make of Boone. But it's a conversation of a lot of times of how much control does he really have of the roster? And we don't know. And that's kind of the back and forth that'll be between the Boone haters and the Boone supporters. They'll say, how much control does he really have? And when it's not working well, they'll go ahead and they'll say something bad, or it's just weird. And right now you can't complain. It's just, I overlook it because I'm a fan of the Yankees. Am I the biggest fan of Aaron Boone? No, I'm not. I am not. But they're winning. And you can't, I'm a happy Yankee fan when they're putting W's in the column, and that's the way that you got to approach it, man. And I've held back on criticisms of him other than that one that I mentioned. And that's just the way that I approach it. And I'm just like, okay, this is the Yankees. I love watching this team. If he's the manager, they're probably making more shots called from Cashman anyway, but that's the way I approach it.
Tyler, how you feeling about our catching situation?
So in terms of, specifically catching, I like it. If we're talking, picking up the baseball bat for the most part, it hasn't necessarily been there. Personally, I can take the next to nothing offense that we've gotten so far this year, and I really don't think they can be that bad for the entirety of the year in terms of offensive production. So I think it'll actually get a little better. How much better? You kind of take what you get at this point, but
the only way is up, Tyler.
Yeah, the catching is kind of a W in my column. They got Ben Workvet still in the can. He's making a return. Who knows if he'll get much playing time this year, considering how Trevino's panned out. So
right.
I like it.
So I wanted to pitch that question to you guys. So let's say that Rortvet, who's 24 years old, by the way, he's strong as an ox, said he's a great defender. Let's say he finishes his rehab in 3 weeks, and in AAA for a month, he's hitting 300. He's crushing the ball. He figured something out with the Yankees system. What do you do? Because you're not getting anything out of Higgy offensively. And Trevino, I mean, even though he's had some big hits, you're not getting rid of him. He's just been so electric out there, runs the base as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't leave a catcher that's hitting and a left-handed bat that is dangerous in the minors. Who would be the guy that you would get rid of?
By default, just because he's the elder statesman, I think they may look at keeping Higgy. But even then, I'm just saying, I've been a supporter of Higgy. We saw how well he hit in spring training, but
yeah,
you can't. I don't know how they would do a 3-catcher situation there. They kind of did it when they had I'm blanking on his name. The older catcher, Kratz.
Kratz, yeah.
All right,
When
Kratz,
they kind of did a 3-catcher thing there, but that was
He was great.
also also the COVID season. So I don't really know how that works with the roster size and what they got to do. But the old, like I say, another old saying in baseball is if you hit, you play, they find a spot for you. They're going to put pressure on one of them. And I think if they had to choose one between the other, they're going to roll with giving Higgy the benefit of the doubt just because he's been there longer. But it's not like a close margin, or it's a very close margin. It's not like Higgy is exponentially better than Trevino and they're going to,
I also do think Rortvet would have to be tearing it up in AAA to get, because if they're winning, I don't think they'll change much regardless of how bad they are in terms of production at the catching position. But say they lose 10 of 15 or something like that, and Higgy and Trevino are a mess behind the plate. I agree with Rob. I think Higgy's the dude that's going to stay. Trevino's probably just because of seniority almost. He's probably the one that would fault in that. But if all is good, I think it stays the same.
Yeah, I think I am inclined to agree with you. Rortvet would have to be incredibly hot for the Yankees to want to upset the relationships between the pitchers and the catchers right now, just because the Yankees are leading the league in ERA and everybody's pitching so well. And really, I mean, if you subtract, no matter what their offense is, if you subtract one of those guys that the pitchers are comfortable with, it's going to have an impact.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Yankees are, they've gone from having not enough catching depth to possibly having one too many. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
I feel like the coaching staff is doing a good job this year. How you guys liking the base running and stuff? Rob, let's go to you.
Luis Rojas. Luis Rojas. We plucked him from the Mets and he's doing a good job. When I would be on the pod last year, I would look at Phil Nevin and it wouldn't be during the regular season. We wouldn't pay as much attention to it, but I would say to Tyler, like, is it just me or does he make a few base running error or, coaching errors at third base? And then obviously it was exploited with the wild card game and what happened with Judge. But I mean, we talk about how much we love Matt Blake, and the hitting coach seems to be doing a better job than we saw last year. And Rojas, like I said, so I'm happy, man. It's you can't complain when they're winning. I think they're doing a good job. And I heard Sweetie Murdy on one of the post-game shows. I mentioned this on our podcast that he was talking about the effort that Boone and the coaching staff has done with base running this year. And it's been a huge, I think he was talking to LaCastro about it, and they made it a huge point this year to key in on it. So I can't complain, man.
All right. So one more question for each of you. Tyler, Yankees are on pace for 119 wins this year. I think that's a lot to ask for.
Yeah.
What's your final win total? Before the season, we all kind of projected them to be, maybe a third place team, but it's looking like they might run away with this thing. What's your magic number prediction on the season?
Yeah, so so to start the season, I had them at 97 actually, because I looked at this 92 win team last year and I was like, they got better. I don't know, is it 5 games better? I don't know. But I got them, around the same place. I do think they could eclipse that 100 win mark. I'm more confident in that now than I was, 6 weeks ago. So I think I got them around 100, 102, 103 wins, similar to somewhere in that 2018, 2019 season win total, because those are the vibes I have. Fun team. Relationship is great between the players and the clubhouse, it looks like. So I got them around there. It'd be awesome if they won 119 games. I don't have them there, but early hundreds, sub 103, somewhere around there.
Rob, what do you think?
So I started, now I look like an idiot. I said that I think they would win 91 wins. I thought they'd be around the same as they were last year, just based on what I kind of saw from the offseason moves. But I'm kind of thinking, I'm going to tack on 10 more. I got to say, I would say between 98 and 101, but I got to go with 101 and just the great vibe. Like Tyler said, great vibes going on right now. I think they do eclipse the 100 mark. I think this is a better team that they even had in 2018 and 2019. And I think we just see it. We just see it with our own eyes, and they're doing it in dynamic ways with the offense and everything. So I'll go with 101.
I'm taking the over on both of those. I
love it.
Just from having seen, I watched that 1998 team. This is not the 1998 team, but this is better, I think, than the 2019 team. I think it's definitely better than the 2018 team.
Yeah.
I think this is a 105 win team. I really think it is.
We like that.
Just because of the start that they've had. They never give themselves this kind of leeway in the beginning of the season. It's always an uphill battle. It's got me thinking when the weather warms up, oh boy.
It's a great point.
You know, we could really go on one of those. I mean, we've 18 out of the last 21 games, you know, and you got the White Sox and the Baltimore Orioles still ahead of you. You could really go on a run where you win 35 out of your first, 50 games, really. And once you give yourself that kind of start, it takes the pressure off. I think this team wins 105 games. I really do.
Yeah.
That's a good point, especially with the weather. I mean, this was kind of the first time last week that they've played in warm weather. And fellas, the ball was flying out of the ballpark. So I'm here for it. I think they can really get fat in, June, July, August. So, hey, not a bad take at all.
And honestly, I don't think we've seen the best out of Giancarlo yet either.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Because if you think about his home runs, he's missing them. He's hitting them like, opposite field off the end of the bat, and they're still going 380 feet. But when he starts hitting, when he really gets going, he'll have 2 or 3 days in a row where he's hitting balls 460 feet. We saw it in Oakland. We saw it in the playoffs. Yeah. I think that's coming, and I think it's coming fast. And when he gets going, watch out. Yeah. Watch out. It's going to be a fun summer, guys.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
All right, go follow the Four Trained Savages. Their podcast is available on all the podcast platforms. I'm subscribed on Apple. It's their social media is fantastic. I recommend their Instagram. It's hilarious. Thanks for joining me, guys. Hope to have you back on later this summer to talk about what trades actually went down.
Yes. Appreciate it, Derek, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I have a complaint. I don't know who to be upset with. Tonight's ball game is on Amazon Prime. I have Amazon Prime, but I live in El Paso, Texas. This is not in the region for the New York Yankees. So I have no choice but to go on the Major League Baseball Network and have to listen to the clowns from Chicago.
I want to congratulate Nasty Nestor. He's doing a terrific job. Last game and this game. I hope he keeps it up. I know it's early in the season, but so far, so good. Let's keep it up. Go Yanks. Fan for 70 years.
What's up, Derek? It's Izzy, man. Love this show. I listened to you a couple months ago, and you said when Giancarlo Stanton gets hot, he gets hot. And right now, he is on fire.
Yeah, this is old school, David. I'm back with the Yankees, back with Bobby Richardson, Tony Q back, Roger Maris, Mantle, all them great guys. So I'm just still hanging in there. So I wish them well. Take care.
Hi, it's Shane out here in Idaho. Been a Yankee fan all my life. The only thing that would have kept the boss off of Hicks's behind is Joey Gallo. I don't care what the new stats are. Joey Gallo's got to go.
I hate to say it, but I honestly think, based on what I'm hearing, this Yankee fan base is like one of the most negative fan bases in all of sports. And it's kind of getting ridiculous. This team is 25-9, not 9-25.
Yeah, hi, this is Steve. I think the Yankees have found their second horse behind Cole. Nestor Cortez is turning into a star.